Have you ever aspired to find the meaning of life and work you want, but had no idea where to start? If so, today's episode is for you. Today's guest is Susie Moore, who is a former sales director turned life coach. When turning 30, she was already making $500,000 a year from her full-time job, but didn't feel it's the life she wanted. So she decided to start a side business that allowed her to help and influence other people. She's published the book, What If It Does Work Out, and numerous articles on Forbes, Business Insider, Inc. magazine, and so many to help people to pursue their passion through side business. Today, we're going to talk about how she started and grew her own side business and what you need to know to make a live one day like she did. Are you ready? Let's get started. Thank you so much, Susie, for joining us today. I am super excited to have you here.
Oh, Yonchel, thank you so much for having me. And, this is a real honor. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you.
So I want to start from, where you started, right? So back in 2014, you were a sales director making $500,000. That's a lot of money.
That's right. Yeah, it is a lot of money. And it was a good job. My background is in tech. I have a corporate background, blazer wearing, business card carrying. And I certainly felt very grateful for the opportunities that I had. But I just knew that it wasn't my life's work and I didn't want it to be my life. It was great in my 20s, but around the time I turned 30, I started thinking about the future and I knew that what I was doing was good, but it wasn't the movie of my life that I planned to have in the long term.
So it wouldn't be easy decision for you to just jump into something really new. So I just want to know how you started side business from various to first.
Yes, absolutely. So you're right. I don't think it's a great idea for people just to kind of jump, to go from having an income to nothing and then not having any kind of foundation. We want to feel responsible with it, for the decisions that we're making. If you start a business and you are you really need the money day to day, you're not going to be your most creative. You're going to be making decisions based out of fear and because you need the clients, right? You'll take on clients maybe that you don't even like because you need to pay the bills. So that's why side hustling is such a wonderful way to begin, because you keep your income and then during your evenings and weekends or your free time, whenever that is, you build something in a calm way. You kind of get to do it on your own time frame. And I was side hustling for around 18 months before I went all in on myself. And look, Yonchil, it's true. It seems like it was certainly a very safe, well-paid job. And look, I could have stayed there for a long time. It would have been fine. But my belief is that there is no such thing as a safe job anymore. Everything is so uncertain. So it's far less risky to go out on your own than you might think initially.
So your first side hustle was anyway life coaching, right? But
yes.
It wouldn't be so easy for 20-something-year-old lady who said, oh, I just finished a life coaching course and then now I'm a life coach. Is there anybody who can just get advice from me? So what was your starting point? How did you find your initial customers?
It's a great question. And I think that, success in business, whatever it is, there's certainly, perceptions around age and experience and so forth. But if you're good at what you do, it becomes irrelevant because you help one person, then two, then three, and then people talk about you. So people can naturally find you if you're good, if you're adding value in what it is that you're working on. So when I started, I initially just started with friends of friends. I used LinkedIn as a great resource. I'd ask people for referrals very openly. It's important to have a lot of confidence in what it is that you're doing because then people will then reflect that confidence back within you. And pretty soon I started leveraging the media far before I was ready, before I had a website, before I even had a Facebook.
Oh, you didn't even have a website?
I didn't even have a website, girl. I had nothing.
Wow.
But I just knew that if I put my content out there, that the right people would find me. Not everybody, right? I'm not for everybody. But I'm if I just share my advice, if I write about being divorced, if I write about, great career tips, if I write about, overcoming different types of adversity, then the people who have problems, who think I can solve them based on what I've shared, then they will find me and I'm going to let it be easy.
Oh, so you just share your email address. So, hey, like, if you want more help, like, please reach out to me in this email.
I wish I was even that organized in the beginning. Initially, I just started putting content out there to see how it was responded to. And I would just read comments on different website pages like Mind Body Green, for example, Huffington Post, Marie Claire. And then I started getting the back end set up so people could reach out, sign up for my email list, and then contact me directly. But I kind of do it the reverse way. Most people kind of get those things set up first, but I didn't want to waste time setting up this perfect back end that had no traffic. I wanted to have the traffic ready to go, which then put my butt into gear to get everything else set up.
Wow. Like, actually, I talk about sharing their idea or sharing their thoughts on LinkedIn or any other social platform a lot to my audience as well. But a lot of them actually feel very insecure. Like, what if somebody says something to me? Or what if somebody says, like, you're not an expert or something like that, right?
Oh, yeah. That's fear is real. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you had that kind of fear as well, right?
Yes. Yes.
I don't think that you become like naturally confident person like from day one, right?
Yes.
So please tell us how you overcome your fear.
I love this question. It's one of my favorite ones. So the thing is, what confidence isn't, eradicating that fear and just being like, I'm good with anything that comes my way.
Right.
Nothing can hurt me, whatever. I mean, real confidence is just being willing to experience those uncomfortable emotions and still taking the action. So I had plenty of negative comments. I still do. I still
really?
get email. Oh, heck yes. I get so many. And I'm like, it's everyone's right. It's right. I have a right to share my opinion and my beliefs, and other people have that too. And that's really as far as I think about it now. But in the beginning, certainly it was very scary putting out my content, asking people if they knew someone who'd like a life coach. I mean, all these things, were very, very frightening. But if you just keep taking the small steps, being willing to feel uncomfortable in each small step that you take,
right,
you end up with a business. I mean, that's how it happens. It doesn't happen, 1 week or 1 month. It happens with those small, uncomfortable actions that you take. Being willing to feel uncomfortable. If you're willing to feel uncomfortable, the world belongs to you. Everything is yours, because nothing can really hurt you in a lasting way. And if you think, just say somebody criticizes me, someone says I'm rude, someone says this is spam, someone say, okay, well, that kind of doesn't feel great. I'm going to probably feel a bit like uncomfortable for a while. But that's okay. They're allowed to do that, and I'm allowed to continue to keep going.
Right. So you just talked to some of your friends and ex-colleagues. Then how did you expand your potential clients group?
Yes, I mean, it's an important question, and there are many ways to grow a business. I mean, you can spend money on ads, you can have a referral-based system, you can do affiliate partnerships. There are so many different things that you can do. But for me, I wanted to be fully self-reliant. I didn't want to rely on any person or any platform necessarily. So I started creating a lot of content for large media outlets and doing it pretty consistently. So I'd write articles that just felt true to me, with tips, hacks, just advice-based pieces that just, kind of came from my heart. And I put them on large media platforms. So look, there's all blogs are great and so forth, but I wanted to be in the media where there are millions of views. I'm like, if I do that, then if like less like 0.0001% of people click through to me and want to hire me, that's still going to be a nice chunk of people. So I started getting my name out there in a big way. I posted for sites like Business Insider and Entrepreneur. And I would just write about common problems and like solutions to them. And then people would just continue to find me. I love this share, not sell mentality. It feels very easy. It feels very natural. It feels, I don't know, it feels like fun too. It's fun to kind of be out there. And when you're in the media, you get a lot of credibility and authority and just discovery. People just tend to find you, not even just to hire you, but to ask you to speak or to ask you to promote something or to ask, to be on a podcast, etc. So it kind of really grew from there. And I'm still surprised more people don't use the media as a tool for growth.
That's so true, but I feel it's not that easy, right? How did you start getting exposed by this Business Insider and Huffington Post? Like you were everywhere. How did you start it?
So the one thing that I say, I repeat this a lot, is the difference between people who get media coverage and people who don't is that some people are pitching and some people are not. It's as simple as that. And most people aren't doing it. They don't think that they're ready. They don't think that they're qualified. They think that, there's something that magical has to happen first. You need to get a huge, Instagram following number or whatever, whatever it may be. And that's simply not true. If you've got a story or something that's valuable to share, which could benefit a reader, is likely to be able to benefit many readers. And we're not in businesses to hide. It's our job to promote ourselves. It's our job to be seen. Otherwise, we simply won't survive.
It's like many people actually told me that, I want to do something like you do. Like, I want to just influence other people. I want to just be helpful for a lot of people. But
yes,
the reason they can't start is actually they feel like they're not good enough. They're not expert. So I need to just build my career in this field, 5 years, 10 years, like that, right? So could you share your tips, how we can start exploring the business idea?
There's a place, for experts in a traditional sense, like doctors, lawyers, financial specialists. But then there'll always be just the human expert. For example, if there's a woman who experiences a miscarriage, right? It can be a very, very difficult experience. There is certainly the place for the medical expert, right? So a doctor who tells you about the process and what you need to do, what you need to know. But often a woman will want to hear from other women who've been there, right? And that's our job, right? If we've experienced something, if we know something, if there's something that's true for us, it's our job to help people who are going through that, who aren't there yet. And you don't have to be perfect or, have done
That's very important,
you just have to be a little bit further along than somebody else. And that is of tremendous value. The perfect side hustle exists at the cross-section between three things, okay? The first is you have to love it. Right, it doesn't have to be your life's passion, but you have to love it enough, because life and business, right, we have our obstacles. It can be hard some days, and if you don't like it, a lot, you're going to give up, right? So you have to love it. You have to be good at it, right?
I think that's really important.
It's a very important, because just because you love something, I love music, but I'm not a musician. But you have to be good at it, right? Which might seem obvious, but you could also even ask around. You can say, what do I help you with, etc. You can ask your friends if you don't have your idea.
Right.
So you have to love it, you have to be good at it, and then people have to be willing to pay for it.
Right.
So this is the kind of magic piece too, where you want to have a lot of competition, right? You don't want to be I'm coming out with this brand new idea, no one's ever done it before, because that's kind of not necessarily tested. You don't want to waste your time and money in the beginning doing something that people might not want to pay for. So if you want to go into a crowded field, whatever it may be, maybe it's personal styling, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's matchmaking, whatever it may be. If you have a lot of competition, that's a really good thing. It means that people are already paying for this, and they will pay you too if they know about you. So getting them to know about you is then going to be your next step.
Right. So one of the mistakes that people make is because they say, somebody else started. That's great. Exactly. Yeah. So people use it as an excuse, she's doing that, and then he, try these kind of things. He's smarter than me, but I don't think I'm gonna just make it or something like that. But we are in such a diverse society, and then everybody has their own space if you just target the right niche as well. So
it's true. I mean, can I say one thing on that? Because my second book is about to come out in April, and I mean, I can be paralyzed by all the self-help books out there. I mean, if you could see my bookshelf, right? There are so many self-help books, but there has to be a place for mine too. Right. It's great. It means that people want to consume this stuff, and I can offer something too.
So
I think about it.
I would think if nobody is doing what you're trying to do, then maybe you have to be a little bit suspicious. Maybe it's not really profitable. Maybe tested, or maybe it could be something really big. But I mean, at least you have to test if people are paying for this idea or not. It doesn't have to be grand scale, but at least you want to just try to see if anybody can just pay for that.
The one thing that I'd say about that is maybe you have this genius idea and something hasn't been done, and that's really cool. I would probably still begin with something more tested just to get the business experience.
Right.
So then you can take that and bring that to your genius new idea. I wouldn't want to start out fresh cold with no idea how to get a website, how to take payments, how to upsell, all these business skills that you learn. I wouldn't want to go straight out the gate with an untested idea and no business experience. You want to bring the experience to your idea.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. That's why I just pick my like niche as well. Like I try something very like unique. I'm like, okay, I realized that nobody was actually willing to pay for that. I'm like, okay, this is really hard to keep going if I can't make money at all. Like it's really important to just like, yeah, to
Hello, you need the money, honey. Without money, you've got a hobby. Right,
yeah,
you've got an expensive hobby.
So, yeah, people say like, oh, some people say, oh, like she's trying to make money. He's like trying to sell something. But I mean, after all, like if you're not making any money, that means like you're not doing business, right?
Yeah, and your business can't survive. I mean, I have a friend who's a musician, and when she releases music, she says she emails her list and she says, "Become a patron. This is how I can continue to make art." Because people don't pay for music like they used to. So she's finding new and creative ways to make money doing it, and as well as pitching even ad agencies to create music for commercials, right? There are so many different ways that we can be successful, but you have to have an income, because otherwise you're not going to be creative. You're just going to be feeling desperate all the time, and nothing good comes from that place.
So my follow-up question is like, sure, like you started business, like tested your idea, like, and then tried to like keep expanding. Like I thought that things are gonna get easier and easier after maybe 2 years later, 5 years later, things are gonna be really easy, right? But I mean, I realized that it's another hurdle coming up as well. So it's like it's very important for us to keep motivating ourselves, like to pursue like what we were trying to do. So is there any way for you to doing what you were doing?
Yeah, I would say that it actually never gets easier. You just get better and more experienced. And then when, just say in the very beginning of a business, if something goes wrong, you'll like feel devastated. But after a few years, you laugh. You're like, it's going to be okay. You realize you can recover from everything.
Right.
You can, work everything out. Right. It just takes, maybe a bit of a regroup. I think that with experience just comes so much. And I mean, it's funny, me and a friend of mine were in a Pilates class a couple of days ago, and we're like, Pilates never gets easier, you just get stronger. It's hard it's hard every time, but each few months you just get better, right? You just get better and better. So I just think it's the same thing in business. It takes time, but I mean, the hurdles will never go away. So if you can just like welcome them and understand that they'll always be there, and there'll always be mistakes, like screw ups. I mean, all these things will always happen. I made a screw up today. Like, okay, forgive yourself, because they just become like the natural order of things. Like, and sure, I've had some desperate, like, sad moments, and I'm like, what have I done? Like, I've even had like moments of guilt. I'd feel a lot of guilt about giving up my job, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is like a really selfish, creative move.
Right.
But I think the real you kind of always knows the ultimate truth. Even on those bad days, you're like, no, like this is still the right thing. It sucks today, but it's still the right thing. I know it. And you just like, if you just stay at it, this is kind of where the grit thing comes in, right? This is why people who are successful, they just keep going. They're not any more talented. They're not any more brave or anything like that. They just keep going.
So one of the reasons that I ask you is because like some people who didn't make that money while side hustling, right? So they might have some kind of feeling like, oh, should I keep going or should I give up, right? Sometimes I don't think giving up or letting go of some of the idea is not a bad thing. Sometimes you have to know like when to give up, right? So for you, how do you know like when to give up or when to pursue?
You're right. Giving up and quitting can be a really good thing. You don't want to like hold on to something just for to be stubborn, or because I've invested time and money in this, I have to keep going. I think you can tell by your energy around it. If it feels look, even if it's not perfect, if it still feels expansive, if you still feel like an energy of like passion towards it, and not full love right all the time, but if you still feel like, no, this is meaningful, this this is important, then to just trust that instinct. But if something's draining you and it just doesn't feel good anymore, and the idea of giving it up feels like a genuine relief, not a momentary relief, but like a genuine relief, then you should just be able to trust that too. And no one can measure it for you. There's no checklist, right? It's just completely based on how you feel. And I'd also look at your past too. Like, are you typically a quitter? Do you quit everything? Well, maybe then you could give this a bit like reevaluate that. Just be aware of that going into a decision. And if you're somebody who never quits and holds on, then just be aware of that too, and say, look, what's appropriate right now, and just ask yourself the question and sit with it. And the answers do come.
Yeah, energy actually is a really good answer, because it was my question like 3 years ago. So when I did my first business, I was like hesitating with, if I need to like quit or if I should just keep going. But I mean, deep down, I knew that I wanted to pursue because of my ego. So I have to admit that I don't want to be wrong in front of other people.
Yes.
If you ask yourself like really deep down, is it for the people's eyes, or is it really, what I want? Then like you will see like clear answer. So like
I absolutely agree. I think so many of our decisions are based on what other people will think, and that is terrible.
Exactly.
It's like, but my two friends, like John and Kathy, will think that I'm such a loser if I give up.
Right.
Like, but they don't have your life, and people don't judge.
Exactly. They don't really care about it.
They don't really care. You care. You're killing themselves for John and Kathy. Like, whatever.
Yeah, they don't really care.
No, they're so focused on themselves, worrying that you think that they might be a failure. So yeah, I mean, you have to. Yeah, you're right. So much. I think that like 95% of failure is what the people offer, the perception of it versus the actual failure. Because we know as human beings we're resilient and we can live through a lot.
Right. That's going to be my last question. So if people like to read about like your materials, like life coaching stuff, if some people like to be like consultant or life coaching, so where can we find you?
I recommend heading to just my website, Susie, SUSIE-Moore, MOORE.com. And if you have side hustle questions, you can go for my free workshop at sidehustleprepschool.com.
I will leave Susie's book's link down below. So you guys need to check out. So I read this book like within like few days, and then I loved it. So if you ever thought about starting your side hustle or have a proper business in the long term, then you have to check out this book. Thank you, Susie, so much today.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Mwah.